So it sure has been a long time since I did a full-sized roasting video, huh? And that's for a few reasons. What with the roast demands happening daily, I kinda worried that I'd burn you all out on roasting content. Like, who's going to care about the roasts when you see short ones almost every day? Also, they just didn't feel needed anymore because of it. Probably more importantly though, The Last Night has like the exact same Autobot cast from the previous movie, and I'd already covered them, so there's not exactly a lot to hammer on here. Unless I want to do like a million varieties of generic gray blob bad guy, or slam on fruit that's hanging so low it's turned into a tuber, buried so deep in the ground the only telltale sign that they're there is a faint emanating from the soil. So, I just haven't done this in a while, but I'm gonna be honest guys, the What's the Best Grimlock was the most brutal thing I have ever worked on. That was a straight week of rolling out of bed, working on the video for the entire day, and going to sleep pretty much without substantial breaks. Outside of a few instances where I hung out with my family leading up to Christmas, which isn't much in the way of a practical rest. Plus I was, and still am, sleeping like trash right now, and I'm pretty sure all that caused me some degree of instant creator burnout. I mean, I did basically 3 times my normal workload that I can already barely keep up with in 1 week. Go figure. I keep going to make other videos, and I just can't bring myself to settle on anything that I'd actually have to film. It doesn't help that this is going to be the first video of the year, and I'm racked with indecision as to whether or not I want the first review of 2023 to be a positive or negative one, so instead I'm going to cop out and do a bunch of roasts. Seems like a fair compromise, and it's at least a little less taxing on me. And yes, I do plan to do a best and worst of year list. Those will hopefully be this next Wednesday and Sunday, if I'm able to shrug off this malaise I'm suffering. Anyways, let's kick the shit out of the last Bay Transformers movie, at least until The Rise of the Beasts comes out, which is looking more and more like ghost-directed by Michael Bay and Lorenzo de Bonaventura. Let's start off with the one that people assume I think is good because I didn't mention it in the last video. No, it's really just more that I forgot Optimus got his shitty knight design in the movie before the one that's about knights. Did they seriously pull this entire movie out of their ass because Optimus was playing dress-up in the last film? I can see that you didn't want Drift to be the only one guilty of cultural appropriation. Nice muscle suit there, douchebag. Did it come with the bra, or did you add that yourself to cradle your man titties? Bayverse Prime is the god emperor of tiny dick syndrome, with his bulging muscles on a robot, kill-em-all attitude, and flame decals of cringe. Oh, it needed to be that way because Red doesn't film well? Tell that to Dino. Tell that to literally every sports car in a movie ever. Because remind me again what the famous Hollywood car is. Is it a red one? I think it might be a red one. The lie justifying your look is flimsier than the cardboard your character is cut out of in these pieces of celluloid trash. Can't help but notice that you got a lot of bare hosing on the outside of your body. That's like having an exposed circulatory system. That's like begging for a hug to cause you to bleed out. Then you got Megatron, and I have so many questions. Just, what? Megatron never looked like Megatron in these movies before, and yet somehow they found a way to make him resemble himself even less. Hell, he doesn't even resemble movie Megatron. I am not kidding when I say I went literal years before finding out that this was supposed to be Megatron. Of course I didn't watch the fucking movie, why would I? I'd already sat through the first few, which caused my brain to rot and actively hated me for being a fan of the franchise. So I'd long since given up, but I was still watching TV at the time, so I saw trailer after trailer for this movie, and I didn't get a single hint that this thing was supposed to be Megatron. Wasn't he dead? Twice over? Didn't he come back as Galvatron with his soul gone so he was essentially immortal? Which is not how that works. But no, now he's just back as this ugly mutt-faced guy with the name Megatron in his soul again and an ugly case of Dutch boy hair. You look like an edgelord space jockey. You look like an elephant who wanted to be Sauron. Nice armor slayer. Did you play a lot of Kingdom Hearts and want to cosplay it? Why did you suddenly decide that you're a knight? What, did you see Optimus do it, so because you're his loving stalker you just had to copy him? You are obsessed with a man like an anime schoolgirl who stares at the bland-ass main character from around the corner, so you bought yourself a suit of armor so you could have something in common to talk about with him. Then you got Mohawk. You look like a fish in a chameleon had a bad teleporter accident and only talks when you beg for someone to kill you. I love how Chihuahua is associated with a rolling trash can from the movie, but you embody the yappy dog far more than he ever did. I'd have more to say about you, but honestly, I feel like you aren't worth my time. You're a guy who wishes he was a biker, but at most, you're a biker's gimp. Nice parachute pants, Nitro Zeus, you dickhead. You look like you're ready to boogie. Got your 70s gold chain and everything. Now all you need is a lot of chest hair and your shirt open down to your navel, and you'll complete your disgusting what if Shockwave was disco trash look. I don't know how much more I can roast you though. Like you're just ripping off Shockwave's whole bit and I already gave him what for. You are actually biting his style so hard that you stole his arm blade. But you proved yourself to be just as dumb as Dino because you strapped it on backwards just like him. And you may be even dumber because it's not even a sharp object. Why did you tie an anchor to your arm with rope? Did you think that would trick someone into thinking that you're a boat so you can blindside them by launching into the sky? Great plan, I'm sure it works wonders on the blind. Well, would you look at that? There's a guy in this movie who transforms into an actual literal pile of trash. I think the movie might be admitting something. I just have to hand it to the laziness of TLK. They have taken it to a new level. They are just reusing character designs left and right. So first we have Nitro Zeus, who was Shockwave with some jewelry and slightly, and I cannot stress this enough, slightly less purple. And now we have Day Trader, who's Hound, if Hound was, I don't know, fatter. Bro looks like something out of Return to Oz. I love how people complain that G1 Transformers are just humans wearing boxy suits, and that the Bay films came to fix all that, but now just 3 movies later and the Transformers are just humans. No boxy suits this time, that's what makes them more like robots. The fact that they are indistinguishable from ugly humans with bad skin conditions. Case in point, Quintessa, who's very blatantly an Asian woman jutting out of a xenomorph's butthole. Not only do they look way too human now, but they clearly have specific ethnic heritage. Say what you want about G1, but at least the robots in that weren't transracial, though they did get horribly racist that one time. Man, Bay must have just seen an H.R. Geiger exhibit for the first time before going into production on this film, because Quintessa shows up looking like she's got a dress made out of skinned sill from Species, Megatron looks like he wants to drink the goo and dissolve into the river, and then you got guys like Fraternacons, named so because subtlety is dead, who looks like what if H.R. Geiger was trying to draw the Minotaur from memory, but got bored halfway through, so he just started doodling his last colonoscopy instead. Is this guy important at all in the movie? Because he looks like a generic heavy chump enemy from any given mid-2000s cover shooter that had aliens in it. And then you got Hot Rod, who looks like what if a Ninja Turtle got body dysmorphia so they started vomiting after every meal to hit those anorexic life goals. Congratulations, dude, you are a thinspiration to unhealthy girls everywhere. And damn, son, you are top-heavy in this concept art like Shockwave only ever wishes he was. You got the boba. You also got the Geiger gut, so a solid punch to your exposed midriff piping is a good way to juice you like an orange. And the Autobot symbol on your mankini. Strong choice you made there. I know Geiger was always sexual, but you are taking it in a different direction than he'd ever want. And then Barricade shows up with a new design, just like most other people, because no, he never did die in any of the other movies. Bay just kept forgetting about him, so he'd never axe him off, and then he'd remember that he existed, so he'd bring him back in the next movie with the intention of killing him off again, only to forget again. And I get it, that old design was so bad that no one could be expected to remember him. I know I didn't until I did the Roastamans, but now you're here with your new little design. Ready for roasting, and I gotta tell you, you absolutely have the best design in all of these movies. This is 100% just a cool look, and I'm happy for you, my guy. No, I'm not kidding. You look sick as shit, and I want to see more of you like this. Now get out there, you little scamp, and don't show up in the War for Cybertron, or I will end you without mercy when I get to that show. Speaking of Barricade and just weird reuses of a mold, we got the poor bastard whose only toy ever was a repaint of an Energon figure. Onslaught. Dude, you are just a whole ocean of stolen identities. So let me get this straight. You stole Onslaught's name, Barricade's toy, and Movie Long Haul's everything else. I can't tell if you're just Long Haul with the equivalent of a mustache, claiming to be a totally different dude. Are you racked with survivor's guilt? Do you feel like every day you let down your team? And if you were just a little more hardcore, nothing could have killed old Garfield Ostater? Do you feel shamed that it was Mudflap of all people who blew off like half of your combined face? Well, I'm sure you won't have to suffer that guilt much longer. I mean, you're a Transformer in a Transformers movie. Odds are you're gonna die by the end. And you know, I wouldn't be bringing up Bumblebee again, but someone mentioned something that I can't unsee. And that's the fact that he's wearing a ball gag. So have fun with that image in your heads for the rest of your lives. What goddamn version of Bumblebee is this weird-ass one, by the way? I can't find any pictures of it anywhere that aren't this exact one. This looks like what if Bumblebee was a drone that flies around playing the radio like a particularly ugly iBot from Fallout. And then you got the genre of Cybertronian in this movie I just call dudes in regular knight armor. This motherfucker right here totally stole Optimus Prime's legs. Lastly, you got Bulldog, who I think is only notable because he's a Cybertronian who somehow in 100 years became old and senile, despite the fact that Cybertronians live tens of millions of years. Boy, this movie just didn't even remember its own lore in any given second. If it ever tried to, it was always wrong. I also have to ask, where did all of his armor plating go? That seems like a really bad idea, right? You have loads of like half-inch thick armor, and then when you transform, it all flips inside of you, so your undefended organs can all be on the outside. These movies always had a weird fixation of putting people's insides on their outsides in violent fashion, so I guess this one just wanted to cut to the chase. And that was the live-action Bay films. Guys, we did it. We're done. Now we can move on to other aspects of the franchise to do these full roasts on. I know some of the bite may be taken out of this moment because of the roast demands, and honestly, we could have always moved on to other stuff if people just voted for that, but now they have no choice. Next time we move on to something uncharted for these roasts, or maybe just the second season of G1, it's what you guys pick. And to make something clear that I think may not be understood yet, with a very rare exception, I only do roast demands on the series I've done full roasts for, or things I plan to never do full roasts of. So whatever you pick this time, it's going to unlock a new area of the roast demands world map. Choose wisely. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.